Pro-life leaders are pushing back against President Trump's stunning appeal to House Republicans to be flexible on the taxpayer funding of abortion. The president's comments came earlier this week during the Republican conference retreat ahead of negotiations to extend the Affordable Care Act healthcare subsidies.
Let the money go directly to the people. Now, you have to be a little flexible on Hyde. You know that. You got to be a little flexible. You got to work something. You got to use ingenuity. You got to work.
Hyde refers to the long-standing Hyde Amendment, which bars federal funding for abortion and is seen as a non-negotiable for pro-life lawmakers. Prominent pro-life leaders swiftly responded to the comments. Students for Life of America President Kristen Hawkins posting on X, "I guess Republicans, including President Trump, still need to learn political history. Kicking the pro-life movement to the curb never ends well in elections for the GOP." And the president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser, issued a statement saying, "For decades, opposition to taxpayer funding of abortion and support for the Hyde Amendment has been an unshakable bedrock principle and a minimum standard in the Republican Party. To suggest Republicans should be flexible is an abandonment of this decades-long commitment. If Republicans abandon Hyde, they are sure to lose this November." Marjorie Dannenfelser joins us now. She is one of the most influential leaders shaping abortion and life issues on Capitol Hill and in state legislatures nationwide. Marjorie, thank you for being here. 17 Republicans on Thursday voted to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies, meaning they also voted to extend the taxpayer funding of abortion within Obamacare for 3 more years. It, of course, or a modified version of it, still has to get through the Senate to become law. But Marjorie, do you think Trump's comments to House Republicans earlier this week influenced those votes? And what is your reaction to this latest news?
Well, it's incredibly damaging to have the president of the United States, the head of the Republican Party, say that we should be flexible on whether our tax dollars pay for the death of other human beings. There's no flexibility on that. Flexibility should be reserved for what you wear tomorrow, what you're going to eat tonight, where you go on vacation. This is a matter of life and death. And this is why it's been a bedrock principle for the GOP since 1976, is when the Hyde Amendment first started. So when Obamacare passed a long time ago, 2010, it passed without Hyde protections, without protecting our dollars. And so what is being proposed now by many House members in the GOP, by some in the Senate, and by deduction from the president, is that we basically do exactly what Democrats did all those years ago, allow Obamacare to go forward without any protections of the babies and the tax dollars that we are providing to kill them. There is something, just a basic principle in life. You fund it, there will be more of it. And that is true of the Hyde Amendment. When the Hyde Amendment is in place, it saves lives. And in every other department of the federal government, the Hyde Amendment still stands. The problem that I think we're looking at now is all those years ago, 2010, it was Democrats, pro-life Democrats, who left the pro-life party. Now we're seeing Republicans do that. The Senate is in good shape, and I think actually we're very strong there, but we have a lot of work to do.
And Marjorie, it was nearly 10 years ago now when then presidential nominee Donald Trump wrote you a letter listing his pro-life promises, which included making the Hyde Amendment permanent law to protect taxpayers from having to pay for abortions. And now this week he is suggesting that this is an issue that can be compromised on. But Marjorie, can you clarify, you have had conversations with the president on the importance of the Hyde Amendment, correct? What has he said to you about the importance of protecting against the taxpayer funding of abortion through the years?
Well, I'll be honest with our Catholic family here. My conversations with him were all first term. Once he got into the second term, he thought he was dealing with the life issue by basically saying states only, we're not doing anything else on the federal level. Well, now we see the consequence of such a position. It means you can't even stand firm on the Hyde Amendment. In the past, oh yes, that commitment has been made many times. And in fact, at the beginning of this administration, he put out an executive order saying, yay for the Hyde Amendment. The problem is in not just in what you post, but what you do. And that's true of our lives. It's true of this presidency and the party right now.
So it's a different time in this second administration. And speaking of which, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressed the pro-life concerns this week with the president's comments. She said he is not changing the administration's policy. Let's take a listen.
What the president was saying yesterday was Republicans, and frankly Democrats too, need to show a little bit more flexibility so we can actually get something done with respect to the issue of health care. He wants to see Congress get something done with respect to health care, and that was the point that he was driving home yesterday.
Marjorie, is it possible that we are in a different political moment now where maybe it's not realistic to insist on high protections? What do you make of that argument that this once was a bipartisan issue and largely supported by both sides, and at least a bare minimum requirement for pro-life lawmakers, but well, now we're at a different time and the pro-life movement needs to face reality?
Well, that is, I 100% reject it for two reasons. One is if just you and I were the last people who believed, we would fight every single step of the way, and everybody here and the Pope just this morning communicating exactly what we're saying now. There is no chance that the power has left the pro-life position. And we've been here before. We've been here at moments where there was a weakening in the GOP spine, where we have to do everything that we can to make sure that we're communicating the moral position and also the political position, that when you abandon the pro-life movement, unfortunately, you're abandoning the support of the pro-life voter. And so that is where they will feel the pain. Unfortunately, sometimes that's just what it is. Self-interest kicks into gear to help people take moral stands sometimes. That's at SBA. That has been the work that we've been doing all these years. It's our reason we were founded. It's what we do. In many reasons, it's why, with a goodwill and God's grace, Roe v. Wade was overturned. Don't forget all the decades of fighting, and right now we are at the best place we could possibly be to move forward and reestablish who this party is and who the pro-life movement is.
And final note with you, Marjorie, I have about 30 seconds left with you, but given the president's comments on Hyde and given the current FDA commissioner's apparent refusal to reinstate safeguards with the abortion pill, is the pro-life movement safe at home within the Republican Party right now?
No, we're not safe. I think communication is key. We can't hold back in demanding what has been promised and following through. And then also, it's just a matter of lives saved. It means those pills got to get out of the mail, and we need to insist upon that and ceaselessly, regardless of what we hear back from the White House or anyone.
Absolutely. Marjorie Dannenfelser, thank you for your clarity and leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.